Okay, we're live. Hey, everybody. Bailey and I are excited to have a conversation today and have you be involved. And we'll get started in just a few minutes. I like to get on early and let people get settled, grab their coffee, do your last minute run to get some water or coffee and get settled. And we'll get started right at 11:30. So welcome.
Louis, do you have coffee?
I've already had lots of coffee.
Hosts the Coffee Talk does not have the coffee.
I know. I was trying to order a coffee mug with like the nonprofit coffee tuck on it with a logo and stuff. And I can't find one that's big enough that shows up very well. So that's what I'm trying to figure out is how can I order one coffee cup with a nice, I think I might just get the lightning bolt on there, like I
Yeah.
don't know.
Just
That I could why I'm rambling on about a coffee mug is beyond me.
because
But
coffee mugs are life. They're an
I
experience.
love coffee.
They
Yeah, I
set the
love
tone of the
coffee.
day.
And are you picky about your coffee mug? Because I'm super picky
I
about
appreciate a
coffee.
nice piece of art. Yes.
Yes.
Just kidding.
I have to tell you my favorite coffee mugs. This is so, I don't know why I need to tell this. I should have it with me and I forgot to grab it. Is it's these mugs I found at Big Lots and
Ooh.
they have owls on them and they look like they came from the 60s. They're
Oh,
like this turquoise blue and they have these little owls that look like they're from the 60s and they're just the right shape and size and weight. Um,
it's the soul plug. Is it like a
Gary, you are too kind. Thank you, Gary. Gary says I'm so exciting. There's no need for coffee.
It's true
Do you
though.
know Gary Monty?
No, I don't think I do.
I just met him in person a couple months ago at an event, and we had coffee this week, and we had a great conversation. His story is fascinating. So he's going to be on Coffee Tech soon. Yeah,
Oh, I'm
fun
looking
stuff.
forward to it.
Any
Learning more.
other listening in? Thank you, Gary. Well, let's get started, Bailey and everybody else. I am so excited for you to be on today. You are one of my favorite people that I've met in the last few years, for sure. So
It's
super
mutual.
excited.
It's mutual.
Oh. And welcome everybody out there tuning in. Thank you for being with us today. I know it's holiday time, so really appreciate it. We hope that you find this session today helpful, and I know you will because Bailey's here. So Bailey's here to talk about Philanthropitch 2023, which is so exciting, and I am thrilled to have this conversation with her today and get to know a little bit more about what she's doing, and I know you'll find it interesting. So Bailey teams up alongside Notley with a diverse range of passionate people, and I can vouch for that, and partners to combat issues across multiple cause areas with the most effective model possible. The Notley for-profit nonprofit approach is incredibly exciting, and as a result, we're able to solve problems quicker and make the most impact possible. Notley. Notley's on a mission to redefine how the sectors intersect, nonprofit with for-profit, and help transform and collaborate with the communities that they serve with new models never before thought possible. So it's a lot of innovation. It's exciting stuff. Bailey works to provide wraparound support to local changemakers, nonprofits, and social enterprise. They do a lot of training. And they serve as an ecosystem connector to provide cross-sector collaboration towards the goal of more innovative solutions. So that's a fancy introduction. And we're going to dig in and find out a lot about that. It's really great stuff. And I am really thrilled to be peripherally involved. But Bailey, super excited to have you today.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. And you are not peripherally involved. You are heavily involved in the work that we do.
Wow.
You're leading one of our trainings.
I am so honored to be. Honestly, couldn't have been more thrilled the day that you asked me to be involved. So thank you for the opportunity. And as many of you know, I'm Libby D, nonprofit champion and founder of Libby D and Associates. Through visioning, strategy work, leadership coaching, development support, organizational and board development, and human resources support, our nonprofit leader clients successfully raise more money and have more impact. But not all nonprofits can afford to hire a consultant. And so I created the Nonprofit Coffee Talk as a way to provide great content and helpful information to as many people as possible. Hope you find it useful. Always open to suggestions for who should be on. Even if it's you, please volunteer to be a guest on the Nonprofit Coffee Talk. Reach out to me. My email address is super easy, libbyv@libbyv.com. Happy to have a conversation with you. And stay tuned for more exciting stuff about how you can be involved with what we're doing. We're going to do some group coaching things. We're going to do a book club that I think you'll be interested in. So connect with me and I'll connect you to those resources too. All right. So now that we've got that aside, Wida. Hi, Wida. Hi, Vivian. Happy to have you here today. Oh, Vivian has tea. Tea is accessible.
Vivian's always got the tea.
Absolutely. I like tea too. So, all right. So Bailey, tell us about yourself. A little bit about your journey and you know, in the context of how you ended up at Notley. And then we're going to end up talking a lot about Philanthropitch, which I'm very excited to talk about. So
Sure. So I'm Bailey. I'm Columbus born and raised. I joke, I think Notley kind of found me. When I went to school actually for nutrition. And while I was in school, I'm going to give you kind of the short, long version. Was in school and was working as a teller at a credit union. I ended up liking working at the credit union. It was very structured, stable, had benefits, paid better than minimum wage. All my college friends were like, how did you get this job? And then the credit union really started pouring into my development. So I ended up working in the credit union space for about 10 years. But fortunately, kind of organically found my way towards community involvement, engagement with nonprofits, philanthropy, volunteerism for our staff, corporate donorship, hanging out with all the people in the community that I really enjoy, and getting to do some awesome work to give back. So through my time in my previous role, I was in charge of the corporate donorship for Philanthropitch, which Philanthropitch is obviously a Notley initiative. I got to know the team at Notley through that. And when they decided that they wanted to expand into Columbus, they approached me and said, would you be interested? And I said, heck yes, I would be interested. So kind of a non-traditional route to working in this space, but it definitely happened on purpose.
yes.
Definitely. And then outside of work, I'm Columbus born and raised. I've got 2 kiddos. I enjoy yoga and cycling and reading and drawing and kind of just hanging out.
That's awesome. I didn't know you drew. Now you have to share some of that with me at some point, okay?
I do. A fun fact, I have an Etsy shop. I make like greeting cards or pen and ink drawings.
Oh, okay. You need to send that to me because I want to shop. Please, please.
Deal. I will do that. I
like one of a kind things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like to buy from individual artists, so that's wonderful. How cool. You are such a complex, wonderful person. I will say that.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not biased at all. So tell us about Notley a bit, right? A little bit more about Notley, and then we'll dig into Philanthropitch because that's a really exciting opportunity coming up.
Absolutely. So Notley was founded by husband and wife, Dan and Lisa Graham. And we have a pretty unique business model. It's for-profit, nonprofit business model. Dan, he founded a company called Build a Sign years ago and then ended up having a successful exit with that. He sold it off to Vistaprint, actually, and took the capital from that to begin working with Notley. And I mean, Dan has always been very business-minded, forward-thinking. He manages a few investment funds and takes a portion of those profits to support all of our impact work. So he's over the for-profit side. Then we've got the nonprofit side, Notley Foundation, which is where I sit in this whole web. So we do say, you know, that we do impact investing, and that is kind of the model for that. But on our nonprofit side, we have a bunch of different initiatives and support programs that we provide to nonprofits. We say that we like to unleash the relentless change maker. We like to be able to help in any way that we possibly can to lift these leaders up and these do-gooders and provide them wraparound support. I think one thing that's really apparent is people who are involved in impact work. Often it's not because, you know, they went to business school and they know how to, you know, start
Mhm.
just a well-oiled machine, but they care about something deeply, or something might have
Mhm.
happened to them or somebody that they love and they've been impacted, and then they want to try to correct, how that's still happening in the community. So a lot of what we do is trying to provide any resources and trainings to the individuals leading the impact work, to make sure that they can have success, and altogether we can have more success and comfort in our community.
Yeah, I love that point, by the way. I wanna go back to it because I think it's so spot on that people don't go into any type of social good work thinking, I want to apply my great business skills or leadership skills to this business, which happens to be a social good business. It's the opposite. And I think that's real important.
Yeah.
Those people need a lot of support sometimes, right?
Mhm.
To keep it going because it's hard. It's hard keeping a social good organization going.
Absolutely. I think there's definitely, I mean, some element of like the moral compass, the personal compass. It's like once you know it, once you identify the need or the want to, start addressing an issue, or, champion an issue, like you can't turn it off. You just can't.
Right.
That's why people
It's
stay in
true.
this space forever.
I know, and part of me thinks it's kind of hardwired in our DNA, or we've had a parent or something who modeled that, and it's very much part of our MO. Um, I could go down that path for a while, but I wanted to ask you the question that's in my head right now because I try to put myself into the place of the people who are out there in the audience and her in social good work. How Who qualifies to be involved with you and get assistance? And so how do I know if I'm sitting back here, I'm thinking of Wida, who runs an international nonprofit organization, or somebody else who's out there. How do I know if I'm a fit? What makes that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think Notley does a really good job of designing programs to support nonprofits at every different stage. And I can talk a little bit about the different programs that we've got. I mean, primarily here in Columbus, but as a whole, because nonprofits are not all at the same stage. Just because you're a nonprofit, that can look very differently. If you're 2 years in, 5 years in, 35 years in, sometimes 100 years in.
Hmm.
So we have different programs designed to, support the nonprofit where they are, but also try to help advance them to where they want to be. One program that we have that we launched here in Columbus is called the Changemaker Support Program. So, and this is, not just nonprofits can be involved, but there can be community leaders that are looking for unique ways to give back or try to help the nonprofit sector to engage
Yeah.
as well. So you don't have to necessarily be a nonprofit individual, but you can be someone that just cares or feels like you've got the time and means to give back in some capacity. But this Changemaker support program specifically is finding individuals that are making outsized impact in Columbus. Um, it's kind of like an entrepreneur's mindset where they're a little relentless, gritty, scrappy. They're passionate and they're dedicated to the work that they're doing, the impact that they're creating, and they've got some level of growth to show for the work that they've been doing. They may be 2 years into their journey, they may be 10 years in, but really where they're at right now, the type of support that we're able to provide with the Changemaker support program is able to really elevate them, lift them up to this next level of where they're looking to go. So with that program, we are providing unrestricted grant funding. That's another thing that's not super common. And I know if
It's
you're a part of
not.
a nonprofit, you hear that.
Yes, that money is hard to come by. It's rare and it's so welcome.
Yes. And
Needed too.
definitely. Well, and Notley is really interested in blurring that line between nonprofit and for profit. And when you think about investments into a startup where you actually don't know if that startup's going to take off, if it's going to go anywhere, but you'll toss 50K at it because you're like, well, this is a cool concept. Whereas there are nonprofits that have had measurable success. Yeah, the ROI looks a little bit different, but it's just kind of about how you're looking at that return. Is it
Mhm.
impact on the community or is it dollars, So yes, being able to entrust that these leaders of nonprofits are, founders and leaders, and they deserve that
Mhm.
support just as, a startup founder would as well.
Mhm.
And one unique thing about that program is we're really linking ourselves to the change maker. as we're supporting them, whatever their initiative is right now, I'll use Elsie Johnson as an example because she is one of our change makers. Relentless, gritty, like she driven.
Absolutely.
If Elsie in a couple years were to want to go start something else, if she's, if Zora's house is up and running and, hitting milestones and she's like, I see another need, we see in her that she is capable of being a change maker, and we would want to follow her onto, whatever else she is doing as well. So the other side of this change maker support program is we are hand selecting and curating this local bench of support. We call it our Catalyst Network, but these are the people who they may be involved in nonprofits, perhaps, as a CEO of a nonprofit, they've successfully led a nonprofit. They have, a wide array of advice and mentorship and coaching that they can offer. But for the most part, they're people who are founders of startups, or perhaps they have like tax and legal expertise or marketing expertise, or it's kind of the business services that nonprofits don't want to have to pay for. Or maybe they just think differently. They're a little more business minded, and they can lend to the nonprofit leaders and just, help coach them and mentor them. Or maybe they're passionate about giving back and they want to continue to support the nonprofit, with their time, treasure, talent, or their network. They can open up their network to these change makers as well. So that's one program.
Yes, that's great.
Yes. And with that, we offer quarterly trainings. And a lot of those are around lean nonprofit models and scalability, pro forma, unit economics, how to pitch your nonprofit to get more funding. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of people think when they want to do social good, that they need to start a 501c3, establish a 501c3. I've talked to a lot of people that end up not doing that because it's like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense. You mean I could do social good with my for-profit business?
Yes.
And it's like, yes, you can do that in a lot of different ways. So I think, Notley is one of those great resources to try to help people think through all that too. And, Bailey and I were talking in the green room, some people call it that, before we went live here on StreamYard, about how lonely of a job it is to be a nonprofit or social good leader or even for-profit leader. And so just having that group, that mentorship, and that collective of people who are there to help, and lend an ear, if nothing else, as well as their connections, is huge. That's
Absolutely.
a benefit. Even without the money, it's a benefit, right?
Oh yeah. That's been one of the neatest things with this Changemaker support program is getting the changemakers together, and just watching them, listening to them talk about just what their day-to-day is like, what they themselves have faced as far as struggles or successes. And we're, connecting the change makers across the nation and all of the markets that we're present in. So we're in Denver, San Antonio, Austin, and Columbus right now. We're connecting these change makers across the cities just to collaborate and be able to talk and have the support. And, if we have somebody that's fighting hunger here in Columbus and somebody also in Denver, and, one of them's having a little bit harder of a time than the other, or they just want to kind of cross compare notes, like that's there for them as well. So it's really cool.
That's huge. Peer support is important. So anything else about Notley?
That's another thing I could just go on about. For the most part, I'd say that's the high level. Yes, that's probably for now. We'll keep it there.
Okay. So let's talk about Philanthropitch.
Yeah. Okay. So this will be our 5th year of Philanthropitch in 2023, which I can hardly believe. Philanthropitch is special to me personally, just because that was, like my in with Notley. I got to know the team over a couple of years, and I can't believe it's already been 5 years.
It goes by fast.
It does, but it's really important to note that, Columbus, Philanthropitch in Columbus, it hits different than Philanthropitch in any of our other cities. Like, we raised a record amount of money last year to give to nonprofits. High level, real quick, I realize now some people probably don't even know what Philanthropitch is. It is like a Shark Tank pitch style event for nonprofits. So we fundraise money. We typically get anywhere from 4 to 7 finalists up on stage after they've received some coaching and mentorship and pitch practice and pitch coaching, to get up in front of Columbus and give their pitch and answer questions to judges. And then the audience and the corporate supporters that are present for the event get to decide where they want dollars to go. You get to kind of divvy it up and vote. And it's great because everybody walks away with something. It's not a traditional like, okay, first, second, third place event. It's just, you get everybody together. The community's there. The energy's buzzing. You've got nonprofits pitching. Everybody's walking away with something. Philanthropitch is geared towards nonprofits who have something they're looking to scale, whether it's an initiative within the organization or a new model. It's usually that's what the pitch is for. So it's not just this is who I am and this is our organization and this is why we need money. It's kind of figuring there's an element of like going over unit economics and revenue generating models and how to successfully create that and pitching for that purpose. Mm-hmm. So it is an awesome event. I will share that in 2023, we are going to have 4 finalists. So we will have a training open on January 17th, and Libby is actually going to be leading the large portion of that. So it's going to be awesome.
I'm so excited.
I know. And you know what? It's worth it to share that it looks a little different this year because typically what we do, or historically what we've done is we've opened applications for Philanthropitch, and then we identify X amount of semifinalists. And then we invite those semifinalists to come participate in the training. They receive training on unit economics, pro forma, scalability, pitch coaching. And then we identify our finalists from there. This year, we're looking to try to find a way to offer that training to as many nonprofits as possible. So we're actually going to host the training for all nonprofits. We're going to have the event on January 17th. It's at Cohatch and Polaris. And if you keep your eyes peeled, we'll be sharing about that too. And then once the training is over on the 17th, we will then open up the applications for Philanthropitch. And I think that will be helpful in many ways. First, more nonprofits are receiving this free training. Secondly, if you attend as a nonprofit, there's value for every nonprofit. You don't have to sign up to pitch for or to apply for Philanthropitch to be a finalist. But you can also identify, am I even a good fit for Philanthropitch at this point? Or does this give me something to work towards for the remainder of the year? So next year, maybe I'm a good fit for it too. So yeah. And then go ahead.
And can I just interject? Like I've had, I've been able to see sort of the agenda for the day, and it's going to bring a lot of value. Whether or not you move forward in Philanthropitch, it's just a day to get a lot of great information that'll be helpful to you as you lead your organization. So I would encourage you to get involved for sure.
Yes. Oh yeah, the more the merrier. The more the merrier.
Yeah. Sherry Cheney Jones, thank you for being on. So spread the word, Sherry. We'll share some information on LinkedIn, right? Both of us, and Sherry's very active on LinkedIn. You'll see that. So anybody else too that's on, look for that.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, be sure to share that out and
say the date again, just so we can,
The training will be January 17th, and it will be at Cohatch at Polaris. It'll be the better part of a day. It'll be about 8:30 to 2:30. We'll have lunch and refreshments and all that good stuff, but it's also a great opportunity. I mean, tying back to just connecting with people in the community that are doing similar work to you, and you get to collaborate in that way and talk to the other, executive directors or leadership at other nonprofits that are, just looking to grow in the work that they're doing. And I don't remember if I shared the date that we are looking to be hosting Philanthropitch in April, but it's April 4th, 2023. So
great. It's my oldest birthday. I'll remember that. So if I'm sitting out there and I'm thinking through, what does it take to even be sort of in the loop for, or not in the loop, that's the wrong term. How could I even consider like being part of Philanthropitch? You mentioned, I think people sometimes think it means that you have to be pitching your organization as like a new startup organization. But as you mentioned, it can just be about doing something new and different. Do you mind giving some examples without you don't have to share names or anything if you don't want to, but just some examples of people that came in and they'd have a long-standing organization or initiative and pitch something new. What are you kind of looking for? What are some examples?
I'm happy to drop a few names. So I'll use Yogi as an example. Yogi with Columbus
Love Yogi.
Alliance. I know.
One of
Yogi.
my favorites. Yeah.
So Columbus Fashion Alliance, I mean, they have many avenues of how they're supporting youth and the arts. And what Yogi actually pitched for was funding to put towards like a mobile unit that they could use for pop-up shops. So that's like a fraction of what Columbus Fashion Alliance does, but it's something that could provide revenue for the business, going out and doing pop-up shops and selling and getting youth engaged. So it's just like one element of everything that Columbus Fashion Alliance does, but with the funding that could expedite you really what they were capable of doing outside of just, the pop-up shops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah. Elsie Johnson, she was a finalist. She was, pitching to get funding for more of like a co-working space. To provide a membership, to have revenue to come into the business. And so really a lot of it is around revenue generating models. Can you have something that you can scale? Because in the end, that's going to provide you a little bit more of a cushion or comfort where you're not having to spend as much money on the development piece.
I love that so much because, working with a lot of nonprofits and being in this space, they all should have some revenue generation that's mission focused, and really is a good source of consistent revenue that they can use for whatever they need. And it's rare to find, it's definitely not typically traditional funders that are funding that kind of work. It's hard to find the money to scale like that. So this is fantastic that it's out there. So
yes. I'm always saying revenue is not a dirty word in nonprofit work.
That's
and we
right.
need to destigmatize that. It's not a bad thing. Not a
That's
bad
right.
thing. Good thing.
Right. And whoever tagged them as nonprofits sort of did a disservice, right?
Like
you should have a profit at the end, a net profit, right? A net of some kind. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So how do you help prepare the folks who are going to pitch? What's involved in that? I imagine, and I know for a fact, because I've run across the people who are just like, I could never do that. I could never get up on a stage and like pitch an idea. How do you help prepare people for that?
Yeah. So we offer a set amount of like 2 mentorship sessions with a personalized coach to the organization, to the executive director, the person pitching. And they go through pitch coaching practice, they do mentorship. And then we really, taking from the side of the business, it's for profit, the investment management, we're thinking of like, what makes us want to invest in something? And how do we incorporate those things into a pitch that, if you're giving that to, a corporate sponsor or whoever, that what are they holding on to where they're like, oh, okay, this has statistics I like. This was concise. This wasn't drudging on forever. This makes sense. This makes sense. This is smart. I see that this is going to grow and it is scalable. So we try to incorporate all of that within a 3-minute pitch through those mentorship and coaching sessions, as well as the training.
That's great. And everybody can benefit from that, right? It's not that just that you're preparing to get on a stage and do, pitch for a pot of money. It's you meet people all the time where you need to have a great pitch. And I use air quotes because I think that pitch has a whole kind of for-profit connotation to it. And but being able to talk concisely and in a way that moves people to action is something that takes practice and refinement and getting comfortable with it. So that's wonderful.
Well, and both of us today have had that very same, I don't call it a struggle, but reality of, okay, tell me about your organization. And it's like, if you let me, I'll keep going. Like I just put a cap on it, cut me off. So to be able to have that limitation of, okay, you're engaged with me right now. I have your, your attention, and also kind of move you with the story of what we do and where we want to go and why it's so important, and then end.
So here we are at the end of our time, because it goes by so fast all the time. And this has been absolutely amazing, but some really important questions first. How do we get your Etsy account? How do we find you on Etsy?
All right. I can put a link somewhere. It's Ethereal Scrawl is the name of it.
Ethereal Scrawl.
Yes. I would say I do sales sometimes through Instagram too. So you could, if you want to follow me there, you'll see when I drop things on.
Yeah. If you put it in there, I'll make sure people get it. It might not come through on LinkedIn, but I'll go to LinkedIn and put it on there under the coffee talk for today. That's great. And so that was important. And then I just want to thank you so much for doing what you do, and for your authenticity and your willingness to be part of community and social change. And I value you so much. So thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for just giving me the space and chatting with me. I will chat with you all the opportunities I get.
I know. And then I want you to come back, right?
Okay.
So
Say less.
anytime, yes, come back and give us an update, and we'll chat some more. I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and happy holidays, everybody. And if you have any ideas for guests, or you want to be on yourself, please reach out to me at libbyv@libbyv.com. Make it easy. So take care, Bailey.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Yes, see you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.